Good afternoon. How is everyone today? Just making sure that I am live. Looks like I'm good to go. So good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway through the week already. It's so hard to believe. The weeks just fly by. So my name is Carol Buckalew with Inky Stampers. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And I have kind of a fun card to share with you today. It involves a little bit of watercoloring and some easy punching, and this card takes minimal supplies, so that's always a good thing. But this is our card for today in pretty purple and green. I love these colors together. These colors remind me, hey Mary, thanks so much for joining. These colors remind me of wild violets in the springtime. And you know how green the grass is in the spring. That's what these colors remind me of. And I don't know if you can catch it, but we've got a little sparkle behind the sentiment label there. It's kind of hard to capture on camera. Thank you, Mary. I love these colors too. So let's get started. So the very first thing, I'm going to bring in an old yucky piece of scrap paper here. And I've got some watercolor paper here. And I will tell you that this watercolor paper, hey Karen, thank you so much for joining. Faith, thank you for joining. Oh, thank you. A confession here. So when I made my original card, I used the Fluid 100 watercolor paper that Stampin' Up sells, and it's great watercolor paper. And so I used the last of it, and I went to go get a new pack out, and I couldn't find my new watercolor paper anywhere. So this is actually from my watercolor supply stash, and this is just cheap Canson XL paper. This is great paper to practice on if you want to practice painting with dyes. You know, you can get a coupon or wait for a sale like at Michael's or Joann Fabrics. You can get a really big pad super cheap. But I will tell you that it is not quality paper, but the Fluid 100 paper is definitely quality watercolor paper. So that was kind of a long explanation. Sorry about that. But I am going to grab just a little spray bottle here. I've had this forever. And I've got my re-inkers in both Highland Heather and Garden Green. And what I'm going to do is, I just wanted to show you, so the flowers on our card, we're actually, you know, they're actually made from watercolor paper, and I just, you know, colored the panels, super easy to do, let them dry, and the leaves as well, and then I punch them out with the coordinating Petal Park punch, and that's the stamp set I'm using today. And I love the variation in the colors. It gives it kind of a more organic feel. So that is what we're doing, and I am just going to spray just to wet it. And I've got a paintbrush here, and I'm going to get a drop each of, from my re-inker bottles here, drop some ink on my stamping block. And you don't, a little goes a long way. I'm just going to smooth this water out. You want the watercolor paper nice and wet so that just checking a little bit more. And make sure you have paper towels handy if you're doing this because it can get a little messy sometimes. But I'm just spreading that water out so that the paper surface is all colored. So just dipping into my purple here, and I'm just going to move that color around, spread it around. And because the background of our card is in Highland Heather, you know, you want to be careful, I guess, to not to make this too dark. And then I'm going to come in and purposely just kind of drop, and there's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just dropping darker color in. on my paper. There we go, let me get. So when I'm watercoloring, I keep a jam jar on my desk. And I keep, just want to get that purple out of my brush, I keep a lid on it, just so I don't have any accidents with water. Right, and we can pick up the green, the purple, we'll move aside, and obviously you need to let this watercolor paper thoroughly dry. We're actually going to be doing something else with this paper, which I'll share with you here in a minute. And just doing the same thing on this, on the green, just kind of dropping in some darker color. And I think that is good. I guess I could have left my lid off here. Just, I don't like to keep color in my brushes. And if you're watercolor painting, never leave your brush in water like that. Ever, ever, ever. It ruins them quicker than you can even think about it. So you want to rinse them and then you want to blot them dry. And leave them out to dry if you can. All right, so I am going to, let me wipe this ink up before something gets into it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these two wet panels aside. And the magic of video, I have two panels that I watercolored earlier for today's demonstration. And what I'm going to do is I am going to be using the detailed stamp, this 3 flowers detailed stamp, and the detailed leaf stamp. So this is a 2-step stamp set, meaning that there's an outline and there's a fill. We want to use the outline stamps, so these two. And another trick, so the bundle for Petal Park is the stamp set and then this punch. When you are opening your punches, squeeze them on the latch side, hold that together to open it. I know sometimes if these stamps aren't open properly, they can kind of come apart. I think you can put them back together again, but I saw a picture of somebody's stamp who came apart because I guess they were struggling to open it. But anyway, so what I did here, let me find my example. All right, what I did here with this punch was I took a scrap piece of, this is just regular printer paper, and I punched out these flowers and leaf image. And I just wanted to show you real quick here. So, you know, because these flowers are kind of connected together, they can be a bit floppy. And if you want them to line up perfectly on your stamp, what I suggest you do is, so this is the detail side, face down, and this is my stamp. This is how the flowers, you can see the small one, medium, large, small, medium, large. That's how they're oriented. Go ahead and, you know, punch a piece of paper, and then go ahead and drop your stamp in the holes that you've punched out with your punch. Then take your block and make sure your block is straight, and go ahead and pick the stamps up. And I did the same thing with this leaf block. I put the leaf stamp down, face down, and picked it up that way. So if you stamp straight with your block, you're going to have an easier time lining up in the punch. But what I want to do with our watercolor panels is I want to, I need a few flowers and I need about 7 leaves. And all I did, these are completely dry watercolor panels. All I did was, this is gorgeous grape ink, by the way. And I believe the ink I watercolored with, yeah, the watercolor ink is Highland Heather. This is darker. This is gorgeous grape. And all I'm going to do is keep my block straight and stamp my flowers onto the watercolor paper and give it a minute for that ink to kind of saturate the paper. And I'm going to stamp another set here. There we go. But you can see all of the variation that you're going to be getting in those flowers, in the watercolor flowers. I think it's a pretty look. All right. And then we are going to keep our block straight. Let me move that ink before I get into it. And I'm just going to stamp, I need 7 leaves. So 3, 4, and I moved my block. 5, 6, and 7. And I have a little trick for these, punching out these leaves. Just got in ink. That's what happens when you leave it open. But I'm going to need it in a minute. All right, let's try and push it out of the way so we don't get into it. So another little trick, when you go to stamp these flowers out, watercolor paper is denser than, a little bit heavier than our cardstock. So you're going to need to use a little extra muscle. But you know, as you would stamp any, or punch out any stamped image, you're going to line your image out. Line your image up and punch them, right? You're just going to need to use a little more pressure because it's watercolor paper. Now for the leaves, really handy tip here. Because I have my leaves stamped all in a row, if I started over here on the left to stamp this one first, let me show you what's going to happen. Do you see this flower right here? This flower bottom sits right in the path of the leaves that we already stamped. So if you're stamping multiples of an already stamped image, work from right to left. And then you will not have the issue because this small flower, the smaller flower, will clear the tops of your leaves. So just a little tip that I learned the hard way. Thought I'd pass it on, but you want to stamp them that way. I have already stamped my flowers from another watercolor panel I did. So let's go ahead and get some other stamping out of the way, and then we'll come back to the flowers. I have a card base in Garden Green. Super pretty. And we've got a label and an inside panel and an envelope to stamp. And for our sentiment label, just a real simple, gorgeous grape ink. And I have the sentiment thanks. And this sentiment comes from the, let me grab it, the Sentimental Park stamp set. Beautiful sentiments in this stamp set. If you don't have Sentimental Park and Petal Park, right, the bundle, beautiful. All right, we are going to stamp our sentiment thanks in gorgeous grape ink, and I have a basic white sentiment label here. And we'll try to get that straight and centered as much as possible. And that looks pretty good, and I'm just going to put that with its mat. And then for our inside panel, I want to stamp the 3-flower image in the bottom corner. I'm going to leave the inside blank other than just the stamped image. And I'm going to stamp these flowers again in gorgeous grape ink. And let me get the envelope front. And the envelope flap as well. I did not use any DSP on this card. Just the flowers and the leaves. All right, and I'm going to come back with my single leaf, and again, this is the, let me wipe this off, it's got some ink on it. This is the single leaf, and it's the detailed one, not the fill image. And just stamp a couple of little leaves around. And let's put one right there. And this is just random. Where, you know, your card, you can put the leaves wherever you want. And let's see if we can fit one in there. All right, that's our envelope done. Let's do the inside panel. I am happy to report that our lame puppy is walking on her foot. She is getting better. I am so grateful that she is getting better, because boy, I'll tell you, she was one sad little looking puppy, limping around on 3 legs. Okay, so what I have here is a panel that's going to go on the outside of our card, and this panel is 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and I want to stamp on this panel as well. I am going to go ahead and put my garden green ink away. We are done with that, and I'm done with that sentiment. Bring back our flowers, and I want a 2nd generation stamp. I'm just going to use my scrap paper here. I want a 2nd generation stamp this flower image. So this is Highland Heather ink, and I am 2nd generation stamping these flowers in Gorgeous Grape ink all over. So I'm kind of creating my own little background here. Yeah, Mary, so relieved that she is getting better. Boy, I'll tell you, we were really beside ourselves. She was not doing well. She was in pain, but it looks like she's turned the corner. So extremely grateful for that. Look, I got that one a little darker than I intended, but maybe we can see if we can work with it. All right, and just maybe one more here. All right, and I think I am done with the ink, and we can start putting our card together. Let me see here. I don't like that dark flower. Might be able to work with it. All right. I'm going to glue our panel up to the card. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I am not. I forgot a step here. I am going to use the Cane Weave 3D embossing folder. I want to add a little bit of texture to our card front here. And if you're not familiar with Stampin' Up! Embossing folders, there is a black line here by the logo. If you line the bottom of your card panel up to that line, the pattern on the embossing folder will be stamped straight. So give me just one moment. Let me go emboss this. Okay. Phew, glad I remembered that. You know what they say about forgetting stuff? If you didn't have your head attached, right? You'd forget it. All right, I'm going to put a good amount of glue on the back just because it is, an embossed surface. And let's go ahead and get this panel down. And we want a equal reveal around all sides. Alrighty. And then I am going to use some Stampin' Seal, and about the middle of my card here, just eyeballing it, I want to put a couple of strips here. Let me see if I got it down. All right. And then I've got two short pieces here of ribbon. This is from the Real Red and Garden Green ribbon combo pack. And I've just cut two short lengths here. And I am going to put these ribbons, attach them where I just put the Stampin' Seal. And I'm going to put them side by side. And then I'm going to use my ribbon scissors and just cut these a little bit shorter. And I want one cut a little bit longer than the other. There we go. Okay. And let me see here. Let's glue up our sentiment label. We can get that on next. So we've been enjoying some really beautiful weather. Very unwinter-like weather. The embossing really does add, makes a big difference in my opinion, Karen. I agree. When you emboss something, it just really makes it pop. And I'm just trying to center my sentiment here on this glitter paper. I'm sorry, not glitter paper, glimmer paper. And I got a little extra glue. Let me get that off if I can. Okay. All right. Give that just a second to dry to make sure I didn't move it. All right, let's go ahead and put our inside panel into the card. Yeah, but our weather has been in the 50s. Actually, right now it's 61 degrees. I don't have a sweatshirt on today. I don't have a sweater on today because that's pretty much my winter outfit. Just to stay warm. I hate being cold. So I'll take it. I hope we don't get walloped in March. That sometimes happens. All right. And my inside panel mimics the same size as, actually it looks a little shorter. It was supposed to be the same size, but I have a feeling that it's just a tad smaller. Oh, you know what? I know why. Holy cow. All right. I forgot the mat. I'm like, why is my white panel not the right size? This is why. And hopefully I can get away with, we'll see. We'll see if I can get away with putting this panel on its mat. There we go. That looks lots better. Look like it's going to stick up here on the corner where I pulled it up. But I think that's going to work. All right. Now we can put this on the inside of our card. Yeah, so ready for spring. Crocuses are coming up. My mom's forsythia is getting ready to bloom. The snowdrops are up. So yeah, It's looking like spring around here, but I'm, yeah, that was a close save, Faith. It's because I'm talking and trying to do something at the same time. Good grief. All right. But yeah, anyway, I hope that, the poor little flowers are going to be shocked, I'm afraid, when it will most likely get colder. I am trying to keep my Stampin' Dimensionals kind of towards the center, just leave a little room top and bottom, because I am going to be tucking some flowers, our little watercolor flowers, underneath of this sentiment label. So I just want to sucker spring or a false spring. Absolutely, Mary. Yeah, you're right. We can get some really, on the East Coast, we can get some really big snowstorms in March. Even April. Early April, we've had snow. So, as long as it doesn't snow in the middle of April, I'll be really happy. Hubby and I asked him the other day, I said, hey, when the weather gets nicer, let you and I head to Cape May for the day. He said, why not the weekend? I said, okay. So you don't have to convince me. You don't have to ask twice. So we booked a weekend in our favorite place of all time, Cape May. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, we are now ready for some flowers. And I have pre-punched my flowers. And let me see here. I'm just looking at my sample card. I need a large, I'm just going to kind of dry fit these, but I need a large one there, and I need a medium flower there, and another medium flower there. Now certainly, there's more flowers here, so you could certainly use more if you wanted to, but I think what I'm going to do is just use the 3 flowers and go ahead and get these glued down, and I'm only using a small drop of glue, and just give that a hold for a minute since we're gluing to an embossed surface. Yeah, to be honest with you, Cape May, you just walk everywhere, and if we need to grab an umbrella and walk in the rain, we've done it before, so we're okay with that, but it's obviously more pleasant if it's nice out. But just our absolute favorite little town in southern New Jersey. Just adore it. So it'll be good. All right. Now some of my, when these flowers punched, there's some little white spots. You could just dab some ink on those if it bothers you. I'm kind of tucking those parts underneath my cards since they need to get tucked anyway, so they won't really show. And just put that one like that. Just making sure these are adhered. And now we can put our leaves on. And I'm just going to add a drop of glue. If I had my tweezers oriented correctly. There we go. So only 2 more weeks left in Celebration. So if you haven't taken advantage yet of Celebration, you'll want to hurry and not miss out on the earning free products. There's also a fabulous join special right now. Would love to have you join my team. For $129, you can get your starter kit and be able to pick $175 in product, which is an awesome deal in itself, right? Plus, get either the boho blue or the white mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss. So that is a fantastic joining deal. So for $129, pick either the white or boho blue mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss, and $175 towards your starter kit in products. Or for $99 during celebration, you can pick pay $99 and pick $175 in product. It is an excellent, excellent deal. I'm hearing, you know, I've been with Stampin' Up! For just over a year, but I'm hearing that this is like the best deal that folks have seen from Stampin' Up! For joining. So if you're thinking about it, if you have any reservations at all, feel free to give me a call. I'd love to chat with you. There's no obligation, obviously, but if you're on the fence about it and you just want to talk it through, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at inkybstampers@gmail.com, and I would love to speak with you. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of teasing up the ends of our flower petals there. And then the last thing I need to do is put some glossy dots on, and I forgot to get my glossy dots out, so let me grab those. Hey, at least I'm remembering to put my embellishments on, because I'm really famous for forgetting. Big time. All right. So, if I can get them to cooperate. So on this big flower, I'm going to put a large glossy dot. And I thought these dots were just perfect for this card. And let's put a medium one there. And let's grab a medium one and put it right there. And a little one on our sentiment label. Whoops. I think I might have a little glue on my tweezers. What do you think? And let's put a couple more down. You know, I always had success picking these up with my tweezers, but lately, man, I have had trouble trying to get these things up. All right, let's put one right there. And you know what? I want to put, I think, a little flower. I'm just going to curl it up a little bit. Let me put a dot on him. There we go. And I'll get this glued to maybe. My glue's clogged up. Well, you know what's going to happen. It's going to come squirting out all at once. Oh, hey, Jan. Thanks so much for joining. Jan and I used to work together. And I miss her. I miss all my work friends. But we keep in touch, so that's a good thing. But appreciate you joining, Jan. Carmel was your spot in California, Faith. I bet. Carmel, I've seen pictures. Never been there. But it looks just absolutely beautiful. Okay, so that is our card for today. Petal Park bundle. Sentimental Park for our sentiment. and some pretty watercolor flowers for spring. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Oh, miss you too. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I want to thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Take care. Bye-bye.